He stumbled. He walked away when the mission got hard. His failure once divided great leaders. And yet this same man went on to write one of the four Gospels, a book that has shaped the faith of millions for over 2,000 years. His name is John Mark, better known as Mark the Evangelist. His story is one of failure redeemed, weakness transformed, and legacy secured. Today we uncover the life, ministry, and martyrdom of Mark the Evangelist, from failure to gospel writer. Mark's early life. Mark was a Jew from Jerusalem. His mother Mary owned a house where believers gathered, the same place where Peter came after being freed from prison in Acts 12. From the beginning, Mark was surrounded by the early church. He grew up in the atmosphere of prayer, preaching, and fellowship. And yet, when the time came to step out in faith, his journey was not smooth. Proximity to faith is not the same as perseverance in faith. Mark and Paul's first missionary journey. Mark joined Paul and Barnabas on their first missionary journey, Acts 13:5. But when they reached Pamphylia, Mark left them and returned to Jerusalem, Acts 13:13. We don't know why. Was it fear, homesickness, weariness? Whatever the reason, his departure was seen as desertion. Later, when Barnabas wanted to take Mark again, Paul refused. The disagreement was so sharp that Paul and Barnabas parted ways, Acts 15:37-39. Mark's failure had left a mark of disappointment. Even great men of faith stumble, but God isn't finished with them. Restoration and transformation. Failure was not the end of Mark's story. Barnabas, his cousin, refused to give up on him. He took Mark under his wing, encouraged him, and restored his confidence. Years later, we see the fruit of restoration. Paul, once unwilling to travel with Mark, later writes, "Get Mark and bring him with you, because he is helpful to me in my ministry." 2 Timothy 4:11. Peter too calls him my son Mark, 1 Peter 5:13, showing how close their relationship became. Mark had failed, but through mentoring and persistence, he became a trusted servant of God again. God redeems failures and restores the fallen into his purpose. The Gospel of Mark. Mark's greatest legacy is the gospel that bears his name. Written under Peter's influence, it is the earliest of the four Gospels, fast-paced, vivid, and filled with action. Mark portrays Jesus as the suffering servant and the Son of God, focusing on his works more than his words. This gospel, though once written by a man branded as a deserter, became a cornerstone of Christian faith. Through Mark's pen, the world has met the Christ who heals, delivers, and lays down his life as a ransom for many. God can turn our weakest moments into our greatest testimonies. Mark's missionary work. Church tradition tells us Mark later traveled to Egypt, where he founded the church in Alexandria, one of the greatest centers of early Christianity. From there, the gospel spread into Africa and beyond. Mark's failure on one journey did not stop him from completing the mission God had for him. Where you failed once, God can still send you again with victory. The martyrdom of Mark. In Alexandria, Mark's preaching clashed with pagan practices. Tradition says he was seized by angry idol worshippers, tied with ropes, and dragged through the streets until he died. The man who once ran away in fear finished his life in faith, sealing his testimony with blood. The one who stumbled became the one who stood to the end. The legacy of Mark. Mark's legacy is a story of redemption. He shows us that failure is not final, weakness is not wasted, and falling is not the end. His gospel remains the shortest but sharpest account of Christ's life, read by millions around the world, and his life declares that those who fall can rise again in Christ. Your past failure does not define your future calling. From failure to gospel writer, from deserter to martyr, from stumbling disciple to faithful evangelist, Mark's life is proof that God writes straight with crooked lines. So if you have stumbled, don't give up. God is not finished with you. Mark reminds us, your failure can be turned into a gospel that inspires generations. Mark's life declares, God restores the fallen, redeems failure, and rewrites destiny. If God could turn a deserter into a gospel writer, he can turn your scars into testimonies and your failures into foundations for others. Comment below, share this video, and subscribe for more Bible stories. prayers and encouragement.